Good afternoon, and welcome to today's roundtable discussion. I'm your host, Grace Sanchez. We are delving into a deeply sensitive, but increasingly relevant topic, the effect of paternity fraud on children. This issue touches on identity, trust, family dynamics, and legal systems. What happens when a child grows up believing a lie about who their biological father is? And what are the consequences when the truth finally surfaces? Joining me are two distinguished guests. First, we have Dr. Kenneth Trudy, a child psychologist with over 15 years of experience helping families navigate identity crises and emotional trauma. Welcome, Dr. Kenneth.
Thank you, Grace. It's a pleasure to be here.
And next, we welcome Mrs. Lydia Wilberforce, a legal expert and family law advocate, who has dealt with several high-profile paternity cases. Welcome, Mrs. Lydia.
Thank you, Grace. I'm honored to join this important conversation.
Dr. Kenneth, let's begin with you. Can you briefly explain what paternity fraud is and what it does to the child emotionally and psychologically?
Certainly. Paternity fraud occurs when a woman misidentifies a man as the biological father of her child, either knowingly or unknowingly. When the truth eventually comes out, it can severely disrupt a child's sense of identity and security. They might question their entire childhood, their relationships, and even their self-worth. The emotional impact is similar to betrayal trauma.
Mrs. Lydia, from a legal perspective, what makes paternity fraud such a complex issue?
The complexity lies in the intersection of biology, legality, and emotion. Most jurisdictions legally recognize the man listed on the birth certificate or the one who acted as a father for a prolonged period. Even if DNA later disproves the relationship, reversing legal responsibilities like child support can be a difficult, drawn-out battle. And unfortunately, the child often ends up caught in the middle.
Dr. Kenneth, what kinds of behavioral changes or psychological issues have you seen in children who learn later in life that their father is not their biological parent?
Common reactions include anger, depression, confusion, and anxiety. For teenagers and young adults, there can be identity crises and trust issues. They might struggle with interpersonal relationships or exhibit rebellious behavior. In therapy, we often see deep-rooted questions like, "Who am I?" or "Why wasn't I told the truth?"
Mrs. Lydia, is the legal system doing enough to protect the child's best interest in such cases?
Honestly, the system often prioritizes stability over truth. In many countries, courts lean towards preserving what they see as the child's welfare, meaning they may uphold legal paternity even after fraud is discovered. However, I believe more jurisdictions are beginning to recognize the long-term psychological impact of such deception and are revisiting how these cases are handled.
Let's talk solutions. What can be done, legally or socially, to reduce the incidence of paternity fraud?
One proposal is mandatory DNA testing at birth. While controversial, it ensures clarity and fairness from the start. There's also a need for legal reform to allow wrongly named fathers to seek redress without penalizing the child emotionally or financially.
And from a social standpoint, we need to foster open and honest communication within families. Also, society should reduce the stigma around paternity testing so that it's viewed as a responsible choice, not an accusation. Mental health support must also be readily available to children and parents affected by such revelations.
This has been an incredibly enlightening conversation. Before we wrap up, I'd like each of you to share a final thought. Dr. Kenneth.
Let's remember, at the heart of paternity fraud is a child whose identity and sense of belonging are at stake. Truth, while painful, is always better than a lifetime of deception.
Mrs. Lydia.
Laws must evolve to match the realities of modern families. We need legal systems that uphold justice, but not at the cost of a child's emotional well-being.
Thank you both for your insights and expertise. And to our audience, thank you for watching. Let's keep the conversation going, because protecting children means not just providing for them, but telling them the truth. Goodbye, and stay informed. We will like to have your comments and opinions. Feel free to drop us your feedback in the comment section and follow us for more interesting discussions. I still remain your host, Grace Sanchez.